The Galactic Academy floated in the void between star systems, a massive station where 1,000 species gathered to learn, to grow, and supposedly to understand one another. Supposedly, Maya Chen had heard all the speeches about unity and cooperation during orientation. She had nodded politely, while Ambassador Quelix droned on about mutual respect and cultural sensitivity. She had even smiled when her roommate, a gelatinous Vorfian named Glebe, accidentally absorbed her favorite jacket. Accidents happen, right? But this was no accident. The cafeteria had gone silent. 200 aliens from 70 different worlds stopped eating, stopped talking, stopped breathing, or whatever it was they did. All eyes, stalks, sensors, and probability fields focused on Table 17, where Maya stood with purple nutrient paste dripping down her face, her hair, her uniform. Across from her, Zax Tornhelm was laughing. The Crevelian stood nearly 8 feet tall, his chrome exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh lights. His mouth, if you could call that vertical slit a mouth, curved upward in what passed for a smile among his kind. "Oops," he said, his voice like grinding metal. "Did I miss the waste receptacle? My apologies, human. Your species is so small, so easy to overlook." His 3 friends, all Crevelians, erupted in synthesized laughter. The sound echoed off the walls like a factory malfunction. Maya wiped paste from her eyes. Her hands were shaking, not from fear. Oh no, from something else entirely. Something that had been building for 3 weeks now. 3 weeks of comments. 3 weeks of shoulder checks in the hallway. 3 weeks of finding her homework deleted, her projects sabotaged, her belongings mysteriously ejected into space. "You know what, Zax?" Maya's voice was quiet. Too quiet, the kind of quiet that comes right before a storm. "I was going to let it slide. All of it. The name-calling, the pranks, even when you reprogrammed my translator to make me call Professor Thelmar a festering pile of digestive waste during my presentation." Zax's smile widened. "That was educational. We learned many new human words that day. But this?" Maya gestured at her paste-covered body. "This crosses a line." "What line?" Zax leaned forward, his metallic face inches from hers. "What will you do, little human? Report me to the administrators?" "They don't care. Your species is new here, unproven, weak. You have no allies, no influence, no power." Maya tilted her head. A smile played at the corner of her lips. A smile that would have terrified anyone who actually knew humans. "You're absolutely right. I have no power here. No influence. No allies." She paused. "So, I guess I'll have to improvise." Before Zax could process what was happening, Maya's hand shot out and grabbed his auditory receptor, that sensitive cluster of sensors on the side of his head that Crevelians use to process sound. She yanked down hard, using his own height against him, and drove her knee up into the joint where his exoskeleton segments met at the hip. Crevelians were tough, nearly indestructible, actually, but every species had weak points, and Maya had spent 3 weeks in the library, studying. Zax went down like a collapsing building. The cafeteria exploded with noise, shrieks, cheers, horrified gasps, and one slow clap from a Dendari exchange student who appreciated good violence when he saw it. But Maya wasn't done. She was just getting started. She grabbed Zax's nutrient tray, the metal one, and brought it down on his back with a resounding clang. Once, twice, 3 times. "This is for the homework." Clang. "This is for my jacket." Clang. "And this is for thinking humans are weak." Security arrived within 30 seconds. 2 massive Urgoth guards, each one weighing about 400 pounds of muscle and bad attitude. They grabbed Maya by the arms, lifting her clean off the ground. "Put me down," Maya said calmly. "Human student Maya Chen," the first guard growled. "You are under arrest for assault on a fellow student." "Arrest?" He threw food at me. "He will also face consequences, but you initiated physical violence." I responded to physical violence. That paste was basically a projectile weapon. I can cite the station code if you want. The guard's face tentacles twitched with irritation. "Tell it to Administrator Vex." They dragged her out of the cafeteria. As they passed through the doors, Maya caught sight of her reflection in the polished wall. Purple paste in her hair, uniform torn, hands scraped, and she was smiling. "Administrator Vex's office. occupied the highest level of the academy. A circular room with windows looking out at the infinite black. Vex herself was a threnal, all flowing robes and floating crystals that orbited her head in slow judgmental circles. Miss Chen. Her voice sounded like wind chimes in a hurricane. In my 40 years as administrator, I have never seen such brutality in our cafeteria. Maya sat in the chair across from her, still covered in paste, still not apologizing. Then you haven't been paying attention. The crystals spun faster. Angry. Excuse me. Zax Tornhelm has been harassing me since day one. I filed 3 reports. 3. Nothing happened. His father's some big shot in the Crevelian military. Right? So he gets a pass. He gets to make my life miserable because what? Because I'm human? Because we're the new kids in the galaxy? Vex's expression didn't change. Thranel's didn't really have expressions. But the crystals slowed. The reports were investigated. No, they weren't. You know how I know? Because it kept happening. It got worse. And today, humiliated me in front of half the school. Maya leaned forward. So I made a choice. If the system won't protect me, I'll protect myself. That kind of thinking is dangerous. That kind of thinking is human. Silence filled the office. Outside the windows, a supply ship drifted past, its engines pulsing with soft blue light. Finally, Vex spoke. You could be expelled. I know. You could be banned from all Academy facilities. I know. Your entire species could lose its provisional membership in the Galactic Educational Consortium. Maya's jaw tightened. That she hadn't considered. Earth had fought for years to get humans admitted to the Academy. Thousands of students back home dreamed of coming here, of learning from the stars, of proving that humanity belonged among the great civilizations. And she might have just destroyed that dream, because she couldn't control her temper. However, Vex continued, and those crystals started spinning in a different pattern now, something almost playful. There is another option. I'm listening. The trials. Maya blinked. The what? The trials of merit. An old tradition. When 2 students have a conflict that cannot be resolved through normal channels, they may choose to settle it through competition. 3 challenges, designed to test intelligence, physical prowess, and creativity. If you win, all charges are dropped. If you lose, you accept expulsion without appeal. And Zax, he has already agreed, enthusiastically, I might add. He believes this is an opportunity to humiliate you further. Of course he did. Maya could picture it now. Zax and his friends, probably already planning their victory celebration. Probably already composing the message they'd send back to Earth. Your champion failed. Your species is weak. Go back to your little planet and stay there. The anger flared again. That cold, focused anger that had served humanity so well over the centuries. The anger that had taken her ancestors from caves to starships. The anger that said, we will not quit. We will not break. Try us and see what happens. When do we start? Maya asked. Vex's crystals formed something that might have been a smile, if crystals could smile. Tomorrow at dawn. Station time. I'll be there. Miss Chen, one more thing. Vex's voice softened. Just slightly. Zax Tornhelm is ranked 3rd in his class. He has military training. He has competed in 4 previous trials and won all of them. The odds are not in your favor. Maya stood, purple paste flaking off her uniform. Administrator, humans have been beating the odds since we learned to walk upright. We're kind of famous for it. She walked to the door, then paused. Oh, and one more thing. That speech you gave during orientation about how violence has no place in civilized society, you might want to revise it. Because where I come from, we have a saying, don't start fights. But if someone else does, finish them. The door slid shut behind her. In the hallway, Maya let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Her hands were still shaking. Her heart was pounding, and somewhere in the back of her mind, a little voice was screaming that she had just made a terrible, terrible mistake. But there was another voice, too. Louder, stronger. The voice that said, bring it. She headed back to her quarters, already planning, already strategizing, already running through everything she knew about Crevelian physiology, psychology, and weakness. Because that's what humans did. They adapted. They learned. Zax wanted a trial? Fine, he'd get one. And Maya Chen was going to teach him why you never ever underestimate a human who has had enough. The paste in her hair was already hardening. She'd have to spend an hour in the sonic shower getting it out. But as she walked down the corridor, past staring aliens and whispering voices, past judging eyes and shocked expressions, Maya couldn't help but smile. Tomorrow was going to be interesting. The arena occupied the central hub of the station, a massive dome where students normally practice zero-gravity sports and navigation exercises. Today, it had been transformed into something else entirely. Thousands of students packed the viewing galleries, creating a wall of noise that echoed off the curved ceiling. Maya counted at least 50 different species in the crowd, all chattering, betting, analyzing her chances. Most gave her a 5% probability of success. The Dendari bookmaker in Section C was offering 50-to-1 odds on her complete and total humiliation. Maya made a mental note to find him later and collect her winnings. She stood at the entrance to the arena floor, wearing the standard competition suit, a form-fitting outfit designed to monitor vital signs and protect against lethal damage, while still allowing full range of motion. Across the arena 200 meters away, Zax Tornhelm stood in his own entrance, surrounded by his friends, looking confident and relaxed. Of course he was relaxed. He had won 4 trials before this. He was bigger, stronger, faster, and had military training. On paper, this should be easy. But Maya Chen had learned a long time ago that paper didn't fight. People did. Administrator Vex floated into the center of the arena, her crystals blazing with light. Her voice boomed through the speakers, enhanced and amplified. Students of the Galactic Academy, welcome to the Trials of Merit. Today, Maya Chen of Earth and Zax Tornhelm of Crevelia will compete in 3 challenges. The winner must succeed in at least 2 of 3 events. Are the competitors ready? Ready? Zax's voice echoed across the space, full of swagger and certainty. Maya just nodded, then let the first challenge begin. Intelligence. The arena floor shimmered and changed. Holographic walls rose up, forming a massive maze. At the center, visible through the transparent ceiling section, floated a single glowing orb. Vex continued. The objective is simple. Reach the center of the maze and claim the orb. However, this is not a physical challenge. The maze reconfigures itself every 30 seconds. You must calculate the optimal path using only mental mathematics and spatial reasoning. No computers, no assistants. First one to reach the center wins. Begin. The starting gates opened. Zax charged forward immediately, his chrome body reflecting the holographic walls as he navigated the first intersection. Maya watched him for exactly 3 seconds, noting his strategy. He was using the Crevelian standard approach, memorizing the current configuration and calculating the path before each reconfiguration. Solid strategy. Effective, but predictable. Maya closed her eyes. She had spent 6 hours last night studying maze theory, not because she knew this would be the challenge, but because she knew Vex would choose something that played to Crevelian strengths. Military species loved mazes, loved order, loved systems that could be calculated and conquered. But humans had learned to navigate by instinct long before they learned mathematics. Humans had an entire section of their brain dedicated to spatial awareness, developed over millions of years of hunting, gathering, and not getting eaten by things with big teeth. Maya opened her eyes and started moving. Not forward, sideways. The crowd murmured in confusion. She was going the wrong direction. She was moving away from the center. What was she doing? Zax had reached the 3rd layer of the maze when Maya hit the outer wall. She pressed her hand against the holographic barrier, feeling the slight resistance, the electromagnetic field that gave the illusion substance. Then she started counting. 30 seconds. The maze reconfigured. She counted again. Same timing, perfect timing. And that was the weakness. The maze changed every 30 seconds, but it had to maintain certain properties. It had to have at least one valid path to the center. It had to be navigable, which meant that certain walls, certain key walls, had to remain in similar positions. Not identical, but similar. Maya had memorized 17 different maze-solving algorithms last night, but she wasn't using any of them. Instead, she was using something much older. Pattern recognition. The human brain's ability to see patterns where none consciously existed. She moved during the reconfigurations. 3 steps left, 2 forward, 1 right. Each time, she adjusted based on the new layout, but always trending toward that subtle pattern she could feel more than see. Zax was still calculating, still measuring, still being predictable. Maya reached the center, 3 steps ahead of him. The crowd went silent, then erupted in chaos. Zax stared at her, his metallic face unreadable, but Maya could see it in his posture. Confusion, anger, disbelief. "Lucky," he said. Maya grabbed the orb. "Sure, let's call it that." Vex's voice cut through the noise. Maya Chen wins the first challenge. The score is 1-0. Prepare for challenge 2. Physical prowess. The maze dissolved. The arena floor opened up, revealing a massive pool of water below. No, not water. Maya recognized the consistency. Liquid methane, kept at negative temperatures, used by several aquatic species for training. Zack smiled. Oh, that smile. That confident, cruel smile. "This will be brief," he said. The challenge was simple. Swimming race. 1 lap of the pool. First one to touch the far wall wins. Maya looked at the pool, looked at Zax's chrome body, looked at her own very human, very not designed for swimming in methane. Yeah, this was gonna suck. The starting platforms extended over the pool. They took their positions. Vex raised 1 crystal. Begin. They dove. The cold hit Maya like a physical blow. The competition suit protected her from the worst of it, but she could still feel the temperature, still feel her muscles trying to seize up, still feel every human instinct screaming at her to get out, get warm, get somewhere safe. Zax was pulling ahead. Of course he was. His body was designed for extreme environments. His joints were mechanical. His power output was triple hers. Maya kicked harder. Her lungs burned. Her arms felt like lead. She was going to lose this one. She knew it. Zax knew it. The entire arena knew it. So she stopped trying to win. Instead, she did something else. Something stupid. Something brilliant. She dove deeper. The pool was 30 meters deep. Most swimmers stayed near the surface where the resistance was lower. But Maya remembered something from her physics classes. Something about fluid dynamics and pressure, and how objects move through different density layers. She dove to 15 meters, then kicked parallel to the surface, moving through the deeper, denser layer where her smaller size actually became an advantage. Less drag, more efficiency. Zax realized too late what she was doing. He tried to dive after her, but his chrome body, so powerful near the surface, moved slower in the deep, sank faster, required more energy to maintain position. Maya kicked for the wall. Her vision was starting to blur. Her muscles were screaming. Just 20 more meters. 15. 10. Zax was right behind her now, having abandoned his surface strategy. They were neck and neck. His hand reached out. So did hers. They touched the wall simultaneously. The arena lights flashed. Tie. Both competitors receive a point. The score is 2-1 in favor of Maya Chen. Final challenge. Creativity. Maya hauled herself out of the pool, gasping, shivering, every muscle trembling. Beside her, Zax emerged, his chrome body unmarred, barely affected. But his eyes, those cold mechanical eyes, were no longer confident. They were worried. The final challenge materialized in the center of the arena. A simple table. On it, an array of basic components. Wire, circuit boards, power cells, raw materials. Vex descended. The final challenge tests not strength or intelligence alone, but the ability to innovate. You have 30 minutes to build something. Anything. The Academy faculty will judge based on originality, functionality, and practical application. Begin. Zax moved immediately to the table, his hands sorting through components with military precision. Maya watched him for a moment, seeing his strategy forming. He was building something practical, probably a weapon or a tool, something that showcased Crevelian engineering excellence. Solid choice. The judges would like it. Maya looked at the components, looked at the crowd, looked at the entire situation, and started laughing. Not a small laugh, a full, body-shaking laugh. The kind of laugh that comes when you realize how absurd everything has become. She had traveled across the galaxy to attend school. She had been bullied by chrome-plated jerks. She had gotten in a fist fight in a cafeteria, and now she was standing in an arena, soaking wet, freezing cold, expected to build something creative to prove her worth. It was ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Which meant her creation should be equally ridiculous. Maya grabbed components. Not the useful ones. The weird ones. The ones that didn't make sense. She started connecting them in ways that violated every engineering principle she had ever learned. She hummed while she worked. Some old Earth song her grandmother used to sing. Something about survival and sass. And not giving up. 20 minutes later, Zax presented his creation. A multi-tool. Compact. Efficient. Capable of functioning as a communicator, scanner, and emergency beacon. The judges nodded approvingly. Solid 7 out of 10. Maybe 8. Then Maya stepped forward with her creation. It was a small box, about the size of her palm, covered in mismatched wires and blinking lights that served no functional purpose whatsoever. "What is it?" Vex asked. Maya pressed a button. The box played a fart noise. The arena fell silent. You could have heard a pin drop, or a molecule, or a Then Maya pressed another button. The box played a different fart noise. She pressed a third button. Another noise. "It's a fart box," Maya said, her voice completely serious. "It plays 17 different varieties of fart sounds." Why 17? Because that's how many species in this academy have a sense of humor. And based on the last 3 weeks, I think we could all use a reminder that sometimes the best response to someone taking themselves too seriously is to remind them that every species, no matter how advanced, produces methane in amusing ways. She pressed the button again. The box let out a long, elaborate sound that echoed through the arena. For 5 seconds, nobody moved. Then someone in the back started laughing. A Varelian, by the sound of it. Then someone else. A cluster of Dendari students. Then more, and more. The laughter spread through the crowd like a wave, building and building until the entire arena shook with it. Even some of the judges were laughing, trying to hide it, failing spectacularly. Zack stood there, his perfect multi-tool in hand, watching his certain victory dissolve into chaos. Vex raised her crystals for silence. It took a full minute. The judges must deliberate. They huddled together, argued, gestured wildly. Finally, Vex turned back to the crowd. The judges award Zax Tornhelm a score of 8 for technical excellence. The Crevelian section erupted in cheers. And they award Maya Chen a score of 9 for reminding us that creativity is not always about utility. Sometimes it is about joy. Sometimes it is about absurdity. Sometimes it is about building something completely pointless and perfect. The arena exploded. Half the crowd was cheering. The other half was booing. Fights were breaking out in the stands. The Dendari bookmaker looked like he was having a heart attack, or whatever Dendari had instead of hearts. Maya stood there, holding her fart box, grinning like an idiot. Vex's voice cut through the chaos. Maya Chen wins the trials of merit. 2 challenges to 1, all charges are dropped. And Zax Tornhelm, you are hereby placed on academic probation for harassment. Any further incidents will result in expulsion. Zax's face, what you could see of it through the chrome, had gone from confident to shocked to furious. He stepped toward Maya, fists clenched. Maya held up the fart box. He stopped. "Go ahead," Maya said quietly. "Take a swing. Give me a reason, because I promise you, Zax, I have learned so much in the past 24 hours, and I would absolutely love to give you a practical demonstration." They stared at each other. The entire arena held its breath. Finally, Zax turned and walked away, his friends trailing behind him like confused ducklings. Maya exhaled. Her legs gave out. She sat down hard on the arena floor, still clutching the fart box. Vex floated over. "That was the most ridiculous victory I have witnessed in 40 years. Thanks, I think. You know the other students will talk about this for decades. The fart box? Everything. You just became a legend. Maya Chen, the human who punched a Crevelian in the cafeteria, and then beat him with a box that makes rude noises." Maya started laughing again. She couldn't help it. The whole thing was just too perfect, too absurd, too human. Vex's crystals spun in that almost smile pattern. "Welcome to the Galactic Academy, Miss Chen. I suspect your time here will be memorable. For me or for you?" "Yes." Maya stood up, legs shaky but holding. Around her, students were starting to approach, tentatively at first. Then more boldly, a Varelian asked to see the fart box. A Dendari wanted to know how she calculated the maze solution. A small group of previously silent students, all from species Maya, didn't recognize, simply nodded at her with respect. She had crossed a line today, multiple lines, actually. But in doing so, she had proven something important, not just to Zax, not just to the Academy, but to herself. Humans belonged here, among the stars, among the thousands of species that made up galactic civilization. They belonged because they were tough, because they were clever, because they could take a beating and come back swinging, because they could turn a humiliating situation into victory using nothing but determination and a box that made fart noises. Yeah, humanity was going to do just fine out here. Maya pressed the button one more time. The box let out its longest, most elaborate sound yet. The crowd erupted in laughter again, and somewhere in the back of her mind, Maya made a promise to herself. This was just the beginning. She was going to graduate from this academy. She was going to learn everything they had to teach. And then she was going to go back to Earth and tell everyone the truth about the galaxy. It was huge. It was strange. It was wonderful. It was terrifying. And humans were absolutely ready for it.